It's Al and Elondy. It's got to be more careful. Hey, everybody. We're back.
Yep.
What you got going on over there?
I'm just trying to make sure everything is going right.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that's your job. Because they can't see us, but I don't have nothing over here in front of me.
You're sitting over there in the dark.
In the dark. You probably can't even see me, huh?
Yeah, I can see. What is that, man? Like, I can't see you. What do you mean?
Because you be telling me all the time, you so dark, I can't see you.
Well, I'm not doing that today. Today is not Bother the Boosie Day.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm not doing that today. But what up, though?
Not much.
Vegas was up.
Vegas was good.
Yeah.
Had a really good time.
Since I'm getting to talk to you.
I missed you, though.
Okay, hold on. Since I'm getting to talk to you for the first time, how was New Edition?
New Edition was awesome.
Was Ronnie doing anything?
Ronnie was the one that was moving the most. He was the most hype. Yeah. You know, I know you be feeling some type of way about Ronnie, but you know.
I'm just trying to figure out what he be doing. Like, what does he do in the group?
He background singer.
Is he really singing?
Yes. He's singing.
I mean, his mouth be open like,
because he be singing.
Ain't nothing coming out.
Yes, it is. You said Mike is the one that don't be singing.
Mike is too. I just like Mike more. I'm sort of leaning toward Mike.
I think you hating on Ronnie because he light skinned.
I used to back in the day. I really did hate on him.
I think he carried over.
I thought, you know how, was that Cedric the Entertainer said like, Luther's curl never quite, you know, never quite turned over like it should.
Didn't curl just right.
Yeah, it never curled right. But yeah, I you know, I'm just joking, you know. But New Edition was dope, you said.
New Edition was awesome.
And my favorite guy, Bobby, did his thing.
Bobby B. Well, he did his thing with singing, you know, not so much with all that dancing, but he was okay.
Well, check this out.
He moved though.
You know, I'm 54. I'm right. It was all around the same age, so
yeah.
I understand. I understand. I've been watching them dudes since 83.
Yep.
Somewhere around there. So we all the same age,
right?
And like we were talking about earlier, I know what I went through in my life, and I'm not gonna be up there bouncing around. I give you the song though.
Right, I give you the song,
Mr. Telephone Man. But see what I'm doing. I'm sitting here.
You sitting?
Yeah. So big up New Edition.
Yay, New Edition.
New Edition. That was you, Chevette, San, and Shakaya.
Right. And what I love about it is that Chevette and Shakaya enjoy the concert.
They enjoy the concert.
Just as much as I did, even though they are in their late 20s and mid 30s. Chevette is not
in her late 20s. Okay, all right.
Late 20s and mid 30s. I said they. Yeah.
You was kind of late on that mid 30s. Like you had to think about
I did. I had to think about how old she was.
Well, I mean, I like the podcast. You know.
Did you?
Yeah. But it's just, you know.
We was out of control.
I mean, the whole Chris Brown talk, you know, that kind of bothered me.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because my thing is you can't put someone that's now before someone that came before them. In other words, I can't tell you, well, Chris Brown is better than Usher. Because, you know, what Usher did was somewhat of a blueprint for him.
Right.
So if there's no Usher, then who knows if we would have got the same type of artist from Chris Brown.
True.
But that's neither here nor there.
Right.
So anything else been going on?
No, that's about it.
Anybody you run into? Anybody new? Anybody you want to shout out?
Anybody new? Such as?
I mean, I'm asking you. If you don't have anybody, just be like, hey.
I mean, I don't know because I'm not the one to see the stats on all the stuff.
Okay, well, I told Gabe. Gabe is our mechanic. He started a company called Adept Automotive. And he always like do a good job with us.
He does.
Yeah, nice guy.
You got his number?
Yes and no. I think I turned my phone off.
Oh, okay.
Because, so I wouldn't have a problem. But
if there's anybody that's listening in the Colorado Springs, Fountain, Monument area, he would be the great person to reach out to because he actually comes to you.
Right. Adept Auto.
which is wonderful.
Adept
Automotive.
Yes, Adept Automotive.
And he gives military discounts.
He does.
And he does his very best to find you the most reasonable price for the parts and everything.
But yeah, Gabe. And then there's someone else that we said we were going to mention them, but we never did.
Oh, Sabrina's Soul Food Restaurant.
Sabrina's Soul Food Restaurant on Academy.
Yes, South Academy.
I forgot the address. We are bad.
We're awful.
Your phone is off?
But guess what?
Yeah, you can look that thing up.
I have my phone right here.
And while you're looking that up, if you want to see Dave at Adept Automotive.
Gabe
at Adept Automotive. He's on Google. You could just Google him. Colorado Springs area, Adept Automotive. And he even has a review section up there for his company. So you could go on and say a few things about the business you got from him and whatnot. You know what I mean?
There you go. So Sabrina's Soul Food, 3215 South Academy Boulevard, Suite B in Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs. First of all, the pork chops.
The pork chops. The catfish.
Catfish. What else we had there?
Fried chicken. Collard greens.
Yeah.
Macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
Cornbread. Did we have another meat or was that it?
And what do they serve to drink?
Kool-Aid.
Not cherry, red
Kool-Aid.
You know what I'm saying? Red Kool-Aid. Great place, good food.
She's open every day.
Every day.
Monday through Sunday. Or should I say Sunday through Saturday?
Sunday through Saturday.
She opens at 11 a.m. Every day except Sunday. She opens at 1 p.m. because she got to go to church first.
Right.
So she don't open till after church.
Right.
And then she closes at 8 every day except Sunday. So Sunday hours are 1 to 7. And for anyone in this area, her phone number is 719-203-4390.
Let me get that again.
719-203-4390.
Sabrina's Soul Food.
Sabrina's Soul Food. Got to be more careful.
All right. That's it. Those are two people that I had said that I was going to mention them on a podcast, but I always forget because I'm always under the gun.
Okay, well, right quick. The phone number for Adept Automotive.
Okay.
719-491-1404. Shoot him a text message first. Right. It's kind of hard for him to answer his phone because he's always working.
Right.
But if you text him, he will get back to you. It might take a little bit, a couple hours or so, but he'll get back to you.
Right. And that's Gabe.
Yes. 719-491-1404. Adept Automotive.
Go there and get your car fixed.
Get it fixed.
Get your car fixed. Today's topic that I wanted to put a little focus on. As you know, because you were here, but since we were talking to everybody that's listening, I'm gonna word it like this. I saw my cousins on
the podcast.
On the podcast on YouTube.
Right.
And it kind of, blew my mind a little bit.
Right.
Because they grown men.
Right.
But
they're younger than you.
They're younger. And I remember them as babies.
Right.
I think the last time I saw them, they were single digits.
That's crazy.
Like 7, 8, somewhere around there.
That's crazy.
They came to Buffalo, New York with my grandmother and their dad, my Uncle Ronnie. And
your mother's brother.
Yeah, my mother's brother.
Right.
But my mother didn't come. Or did she? Is she on that picture? No.
No, she's not on that picture.
So it was my cousin Kilroy, a.k.a. William. My cousin Faye. My grandmother, Uncle Ronnie, his wife, Aunt Jen, and the 3 boys.
The 3 boys.
And it bugged me out seeing their podcast though, because when I looked at it, when I first looked at it, I couldn't see who was who. And then I saw where the oldest one, Ronnie Jr., was sitting like he was there.
Right.
And that really blew my mind.
Right. Because he looked like his dad?
Nah, it's not that. It's that, the first time I ever went out of town
was to visit them, right?
Texas. Mm-hmm. But the other two, Marvin and Jamal, were not born yet.
Okay.
And it was just him, but he was only a few months old.
Right.
And I went there for the summer. And I was like, kind of like watching him in the summer while Uncle Ronnie and Aunt Jen, I don't know, I think they were teaching summer school or something like that.
Okay.
But, it's amazing. I'm looking at grown men.
Grown men sitting up there drinking. Cursing.
Yeah.
Just like, being grown men.
It's like, wow.
Doing grown men
I'm
stuff.
not saying drinking and cursing is wrong.
No.
What
it's
I'm
just that.
That's dope.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Today's, technology and stuff.
Right. What's the name of their podcast?
Oh, is it the Loud Pack? The Loud Pack or the Loud Show? I think it's the Loud Pack.
I think it's the Loud Pack.
Yeah, it's the Loud Pack. I think there's some sort of hyphen or underscore in between loud and pack. I'm not sure. I can look it up right now.
I thought you said your phone was off.
My computer's on right here.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I could do that. I mean, you probably going to hear some clicking and stuff. Did you hear that?
Mm-mm.
So you go to YouTube. Hey, I should have had all this together, man. I'm just like a bad host. You're supposed to say, no, you're not.
No, you're not, babe. You're not a.
Well, it bugged me out because, I saw them, right? And I was like, wow, grown men.
Grown men.
And I spoke to Marvin and Jamal via direct message on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mentioned, even though I couldn't type it out and say what I really wanted to say, but I felt like I was watching them through my grandmother's eyes because she loved them boys to death.
Right. I can't find it, baby. I'm coming up with...
It's the Loud Pack?
But I'm coming up with other things, too.
Like what?
Like Loud Pack, Richie.
Mrs.
Dr. Loud Pack.
Well, I can look at my history and see. And, of course, it doesn't come up. Okay. So... Let me go to my history. Just keep talking.
Okay. All right. So you said that you was looking at them like from the eyes of your grandmother.
Yeah.
She would have been amazed.
She would have
if she had been able to see that. She probably was like, look at my babies.
Well,
all up on the internet, on that computer thing.
Well, we're gonna get to that. I don't think she don't talk like that, but probably.
I mean, I'm just saying, that's probably what she was thinking.
Probably what she would have been thinking.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but it's dope. Instantly, I felt like, wow. I would keep stressing that, like, wow. Like, I felt that great show. The subjects that they were covering, all of that, on point.
What got me was it Jamal that was talking about that chicken?
What chicken?
Remember, he said he went to get him some chicken. He asked for white meat and they gave him dark meat and he was not happy about it.
Oh, you said Jamal. I thought you said my mom.
No, I said Jamal.
I think, yeah.
Or was that was Jamal that said that,
what
right?
What did I say when I saw that? I said something like, oh, yeah, he a relative.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't play those games with
right.
me,
Like I asked for white meat.
Yeah.
Give me dark meat.
And then you charging me crazy.
Right. That's what I think he was mostly, no, he was upset about that dark meat.
Right.
But the fact that he paid extra for it and then didn't get the white meat.
I think that's what he was saying.
Right.
Again, I was like, whoa, that's Uncle Runny kids.
Yeah, you was too busy being fascinated.
I'm blown away.
Yeah.
But the name of the show is Loud Pack Show on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Just Loud Pack Show. 3 words. Loud Pack Show.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Those Callan boys.
Them Callan boys.
There you go.
There's some other brothers on there too, but I don't know them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But they all dope. They all work together. It
was good. What I saw of it, I liked it.
Them Callan boys.
Those Callan boys. You think that runs in the family?
Penny Callan. Penny Callan.
Penny Callan.
Yeah. Irene Callans.
Irene.
Did I put an S on on my grandmother's name?
Yes, you did. So you think that runs in the family?
I don't know. I know. I don't know about that. Podcasts are so accessible nowadays, because of technology and stuff.
Right, but they are accessible. But some people just get and do a podcast with their phone and
Yeah.
a headphone, some headphones and a microphone, but they had a professional setup.
It looks like the boom arms they were using, the microphones, they look like Shure SM58s. I'm going to put that out there.
Okay. They had a nice big monitor screen.
And it looked like
on the wall and everything. It looked
like a Zoom, a Zoom.
L8.
It looks like they had a Zoom L8.
Right. So I'm saying it looked like they had a professional setup. So it wasn't just some
no. That's not
by the way thing. That's what I'm saying. But the love of media, I guess,
things like that.
You think that runs in the family?
I've never known. I would kind of say on my dad's side, yeah. But on my mother's side, I've never known anybody to pursue that.
Right.
Or do anything like that. You know, Uncle Ronnie was extremely outgoing. Mm-hmm. What I remember of him, extremely outgoing. Mm-hmm. He had a personality, you know, and it's great to see them because I see personalities in the same way. But that was dope. I mean, Loud Pack Show, YouTube.
Check them out.
Them Texas boys. What'd you say when you heard them talking?
I said, oh yeah, that's Texas.
That's Texas boys.
That's Texas all the way.
Texas accent and
everything.
But great show.
Yes.
I'll be checking in the future to see more.
There you go.
And give it up for them Callan boys.
Those Callan boys.
Since we talked about that subject, today, I'm going to throw a title out there.
Okay.
Grand Memories.
Grand
When
memories.
I say that, right? Grand memories. Am I talking about these big memories of something?
Right.
Or am I talking about grand memories, meaning our grandparents?
I'm going to say the grandparents.
Bingo. Our grandparents.
Our grandparents.
Now, talking about my grandmother is some things that I might say, it might sound a little harsh. But let me put this disclaimer out there before I say it. I wish she was here right now.
Right.
Because what I thought was so hard, or she was being so hard or mean, she just wanted me to get it right.
Right.
Right? But I have grand memories of her. What about yourself?
I have, I guess you could say grand memories of my grandparents.
So how far you go back?
Oh my goodness. So I can only talk about my mother's grandparents. Father. The grandparents on my mother's side of the family.
Oh, your mother's grandparents.
I mean, just on my mother's side of the family, I can't say anything about my father's side of the family.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah. But
so
you're saying you can only talk about, you can go back to great grandparents.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but on the mother's side.
I got that.
So there is my mother's, so it is my mother's grandparents.
What?
That don't sound right.
No, that don't.
So it's like,
try again.
Okay. So my mother's mother.
Okay.
Which is my grandmother.
Your mother's mother. Which is, right, that's your grandmother.
And then my grandmother, mother and father.
Those are your great grandparents.
Yes, on that side.
Right.
Yep. And then I got my mother's father, which is my grandfather, and then his parents. So I can talk about them too.
Okay. Why can't you say grandparents and great grandparents on your mother's side?
Because they're on my mother's side, but they're her mother's.
On your mother's side.
Okay.
You see, you come on here trying to confuse me, man.
I'm not confusing you because if I say
your great grandparents on your mother's side.
My great grandparents on my mother's side. Okay.
Right.
Both sets.
Both sets.
There you go.
Got you.
All right.
Can I do that? I have my grandmother and my great grandmother on my mother's side. No, man, I don't. Yeah. And on my father's side, I never. Well, I did. I met my grandfather. I was about to say the dumbest thing on the planet. I met him. He died when I was in elementary school.
Okay.
So I met him.
You met him.
Him, yes, I met him, but that's about it.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Now, my grandmother's Describe your grandmother.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm not leaving out your grandfather.
My grandma was funny.
I met your grandfather.
Right. My grandma was funny.
Okay. But describe her physically.
So she was a what they call a heavy boned woman.
She's big boned.
Big boned.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Big boned.
Okay.
So she was about, let me see, I'm gonna say about 5'6", 5'7".
Okay.
And she had heavy hands.
How do you know she had heavy hands?
Because she hit me with them.
She put them things on you. Okay.
All the time.
All right, Grandma. Okay. She put them things on you?
I don't know why, because I was the sweetest little child.
Okay. Whatever.
Anyway, so she had real thick hair. Her hair was really thick. And she got a big nose. And she had some nice full lips. And just regular looking eyes. They wasn't beady or slanted or anything. Just, eyes. And she's about my complexion. And a high booty.
You really getting graphic with the details.
You said describe her.
Yeah.
You said describe her. So I'm describing her physically. That's what you said.
Okay. What about Granddad?
Granddaddy. So Granddaddy's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
He's 95.
Mm-hmm.
He's still hanging in there. We don't know for how much longer, but right now.
He's hanging tough right now.
But so the last time I saw him, that was last summer. No, we didn't go home last summer. Summer before last.
2020.
2020?
Yeah.
So he's small now. He was shorter than my grandma. So Granddaddy's probably about,
I wouldn't be able to tell you because I saw him sitting. He was sitting in a wheelchair.
Right. But even then he looked smaller. But he was always on the thick side. Not big, but he had some nice weight to him.
Okay.
He about your complexion.
Okay.
He always
brown
had
skin.
Brown skin. Yeah, he always had unruly hair.
What does that mean?
But he kept a hat on top of his head. Granddad never combed his hair.
Okay.
It was just there.
Okay.
But he kept a hat on his head. He always wore a hat. You never seen my granddaddy without a hat.
And also, but we'll talk about that when we get down to the meter. Yeah. So.
Yep.
That's it.
Those are my grandparents.
So they were 5'7" and maybe 5'5", 5'6".
Something like that.
So
I know grandma was taller than
they
granddaddy.
were like average, a little beneath average.
Yeah.
Well, grandma at 5'6",
is
that's tall.
That's tall for a female.
Yeah. So dark skin and brown skin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With me, my grandmother, I would say she was close to about 5'11", 6 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And I might be pulling that back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They all had this bronze complexion, not a little lighter than me, like a bronze complexion. And I didn't know my grandfather on that side.
Right.
But I just remember she was tall and like a bronze color. And it's stringy hair. Is that like straight, like stringy hair? Straight hair. Straight. It wasn't.
Was it thin?
Same.
Thick?
It wasn't the same texture as mine. It was thin.
She had what the black folks used to call good hair.
I guess
she had that good hair.
I've never seen her hair
fluffed up.
Fluffed up. It's always laying down.
Right.
And my great grandmother. I was just thinking this the other day that I'm 54 years old and she died when I was 7. So I'm starting to lose her face.
Yeah.
Like it's hard for me to call it. I just remember that she was tall also. And I would say around 6 feet. And she always wore 2 ponytails.
Right.
Same texture hair as my grandmother. And I remember she had a gold tooth.
Okay. Come on with the gold tooth.
And she was like really quiet. Like, well, yeah. Physically, she was skinny, tall, 2 ponytails, gold tooth. And it seemed like she wore the same dress every day. I know she didn't. It was that style.
That style of dress.
Yeah, that old school dress. Now, you saw a picture of my great-grandmother, her mother,
Mm-hmm.
and her mother's mother.
Right.
And that blows my mind.
Yeah.
Because you're talking deep into slavery right now.
Right.
Because we didn't get into it, but my grandmother was born in 1912.
Right.
My great-grandmother was born in 1884.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that your grandfather, being 95, he had to be around.
He was born in 1927.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So, we talking old school right here.
Right.
Not something that we ain't talking about the 60s and the 50s.
Right.
Like
and
our parents my mother was born in the 40s.
my mother was born in 53.
Right. So, we talking old school here.
Right. And I feel you on that. You're starting to lose the face, because that's how I feel about my great grandmother on my grandfather's side.
Right.
Because I think we was talking about it because Shakaya had started researching the family tree.
Right.
And I think we saw that my great grandmother
Mm-hmm.
was actually born in 1895.
1895. So, yeah.
And she died in 1972. I was only 4, but I remember her.
Right. And like my great grandmother died in 75. And I remember her because I had conversations with her, because my mother was, my mother was young.
Right.
So she's still going to the clubs and stuff.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time with my great grandmother.
Right. And I told you about my great grandmother Mary Lou.
Okay.
That was my granddaddy's mama. She's
Okay.
the one that used to hide the wine. Well, have me hide her wine, because my granddaddy, Jimmy Umber, I don't know why we called him by his full name, but everybody called him Jimmy Umber. My great granddaddy, Jimmy Umber, he said that my grandma Mary Lou drank too much.
So is she the one that used to say wild ass rose?
Yeah, she said, go get the wild ass rose. Not the
wild ass rose.
Wild ass rose. She's like, baby, go get Granny's wild ass rose.
Go get that wild ass rose.
Right.
Now, you just mentioned something that I think is worth pointing out. So you said that your grandfather's last name was Umber.
Umber.
So that's the original name, that
Humber.
Umber.
Umber.
But it's pronounced Umber.
Umber.
As if there's no H.
Right. The H is silent.
Right. So, and your mother's maiden name is Umber.
Yes.
Okay.
And my name was Umber. On my birth certificate, right. It still says Umber.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's important, especially when you're looking for your roots and everything.
Right.
You could be like, oh, okay. So my grandmother last name was Callan.
Mm-hmm.
My great grandmother last name was Fuller.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know.
So either your grandmother's father's last name was Fuller, or your grandmother, Callan, or your grandmother got married and you don't know.
We don't know. No,
right.
I don't know.
Because you said she didn't talk about stuff like that.
No, you stay in a child's place.
Exactly. Right? That's grown folks' business.
All I know is my mother's name was Callan. My grandmother's name was Callan, and Uncle Ronnie's name was Callan.
You know what's crazy about that? And we talked about this before. The fact that our grandparents, our great-grandparents did not talk about things.
Right.
So now that we're older and we're like trying to figure out, okay, so where did we come from? Who was this and who was that? We don't know because, like you said, stay in the child's place. They didn't think to talk to us about stuff like that.
You know what? This might be revolutionary,
but
I think I just figured it out.
Okay, go ahead.
I think my great-grandfather, who I never met, he passed away when my mother was a child. I think his name was Callan. So it is. And my great-grandmother's maiden name was Fuller.
Okay.
I think I got it. Because he had a unique name.
What was it?
Saul. Like King Saul in the Bible.
Okay.
So that's great-grandfather.
Right.
Saul. Because we used to go out and clean off his grave and stuff. You ever see those graves where the top stone is shaped like a tube? Yeah.
Tube?
It's shaped like a tube. So instead of being flat, the whole bed, right? It's shaped like a tube. Like as if you're looking at the top, like at the tube, like a dish.
I don't think I ever seen a headstone like that before.
Yeah. It wasn't a headstone, it's the body. You understand what I mean?
like the slab that they be having over the thing.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I never seen that before.
Yeah. Every Sunday, not every Sunday, but every other Sunday, me, my grandmother, and my mother and Uncle Alfred and Aunt Della, which we'll talk about them at some other time, we would drive out to Philip Grove Baptist Church out in the country. I couldn't tell you where that thing at right now.
Philip Grove Baptist Church.
Yeah. And then
let me look it up and see if it still exists.
Good luck. All I know is it's out like going toward Birmingham, old Birmingham Highway.
Right.
Somewhere before you get to Maplesville, after, I don't know. Huh. I know we got off the road and then drove out in the country to find it. But the point that I'm making, I think his name was Saul Callan.
Okay.
And my grandmother's name was Callan. My mother's name was Callan until she got married and it changed to Southpaw. Right? Because my mother got married.
Right.
Demeanors. I'm going to jump into that first. Demeanor. My grandmother, I'm going to take a word from my mother.
Valley Grand?
Valley Grand?
That's where
no,
this one is.
It was further than Valley Grand. Valley Grand is close.
Okay, that's the only one I see is Phillips Grove Baptist Church, Valley Grand, Alabama.
Okay. No, that could be it moved there,
right.
But when I tell you, we old school now. Let's face it, we old school. So when I tell you that church might have been as big as our upstairs.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Without the bedrooms.
Right. I got you.
Just our upstairs. And you can walk in the front door. You got a few pews. You got, they didn't have a raised pulpit. It was just
a little.
And that's it.
Podium on the floor.
And that's it. And the few times, I went to my great grandmother's funeral there. And when we ate, like you eat after the funeral, what do you call that?
After the funeral?
Yeah.
Repast.
Repast. It was just a table outside in the grass.
Right.
It was small place. But demeanor. I wanted to use something that my mother would say. My grandmother was mean as a coach whip. I used to hear that all the time. What does that mean? A
coach whip.
Yeah.
So is that what the coach driver used for the horses?
Yes, it's a coach whip, but when she said it, she was referring to the coach whip snake because of how they act when you come across one.
Okay.
So instead of saying she mean as a rattlesnake or whatever they would say, she's mean as a coach whip. I'm 54 years old and I can't remember my grandmother laughing and joking or smiling. She never played. She never played. She never joked around. She was very serious. On the other hand, my great grandmother was, I felt she was an angel. She always had a conversation for me. I was a stupid little kid and I would talk about stars and moons and how is grass green and what is the wind? I remember asking her about someone knocking on the door and how does that knock from the other side of the door get to your ears? And she would try her best to explain it.
Right.
I don't know what type of education level they had or whatever.
Right.
But that was my friend.
Right.
That was my friend. So on the flip side, my grandfather, on my dad's side, I knew he was tall. He was really slim, extremely quiet.
Okay.
I never had a conversation with him.
Okay.
I would just look at him.
Right.
He would come by on Sundays, park in front of the house, sit on the porch. I would play in the grass. Because before that, I couldn't go outside.
Right.
But when he come, my mother would be like, go outside. You can go outside. And he would sit there for a hot second. And then after a while, he would just leave. That's all I knew about him.
That sounds like my my great-grandfather, Dina.
Dina?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's his name? Yeah. On my grandmother's side.
Right.
So all I can remember is him sitting in the chair in the corner. I don't think I ever said a word to him. And he never said a word to me.
And this is a grandparent.
My great-grandparent, yeah.
Right. So same thing with demeanor. So you had
Right.
one of them too.
Right.
That didn't really talk.
Right.
Right.
But my great grandma, we call her Big Mama, Dorothy Anderson.
Mhm.
Now she'd laugh and talk, and I used to comb her hair. You said your grandmother wore 2 ponytails. Well,
great grandmother.
Your great grandmother. Well, my great grandmother wore 2 pigtails. So it wasn't ponytails. She would just have her hair parted right down the middle, and you put one plait on each side. So they call them pigtails.
Okay, so I might be messing it up. So what's a ponytail?
A ponytail is like when it's in the rubber band or something.
Oh no. She had 2 pigtails.
She had pigtails too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my grandma used to do that too. So she would have me take it down and part her hair and scratch her scalp and oil it and then plait it back up.
Mhm.
So I can remember doing that for her. And of course, she used to march us to church and everything. So.
Blessing.
Yeah,
You remember,
definitely.
You remember doing her hair. You remember walking to church with her.
Right.
Crazy.
And she could cook.
Of course, yeah.
On that stove that you put wood in.
Mm. That food was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, she didn't cook on Sundays though, because that's the Lord's Day. She didn't cook on Sunday.
How did they do that?
I don't know, but
Ain't no timers.
I feel like I can taste it right now.
ain't no time. You know what?
Right.
No timers.
No timers.
No fancy non-stick stuff. They probably use cast iron.
Cast iron, everything.
And everything came out just right.
Man, it was so good. Even Sunday dinner, because she cooked Sunday dinner on Saturday. So we ate it cold on Sunday, but
she need a growl.
Boy, I tell you, that food, man.
Wait, let me hear that growl again. That one didn't sound right.
I can still taste it. Now, my grandmother,
okay,
she ain't cook. She ain't cook that much.
Okay.
But she made this cake. It was just a little simple yellow cake.
Mm-hmm.
And she made some kind of brown sugar glaze that she poured on top of the cake.
Mm-hmm.
That cake was good as hell.
Good as hell?
Good as hell.
Is it applause worthy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
My great grandmother, I don't remember if she cooked or not. And that's the same thing with her face.
Right.
I'm starting to forget
lose
certain
some of
things.
the things.
Right.
Yeah.
But I will say this. My grandmother, she leaned on it.
She leaned on it. Sunday dinner, right? Y'all was over there.
Every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
Like our last episode we did together was about Tabernacle Church.
Right.
After we left there, she was at Green Street.
Right.
And we would jump in a cab. Smith, 74.
74.
Yeah, we 74.
Uh-huh.
And we would take it over to her house. And I don't know how she did it. It's like, you know how now people will have like, okay, today's main course. And the protein in that main course would be fried chicken or ribs or ham or turkey or whatever. She always had 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's how it was when we used to go over to my ex-husband's Clint's grandmother house on Sunday dinner. You're so silly. She would always have barbecue chicken, something else. Now I can't even think. But she would have 2 or 3 meats too.
A few.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, my grandmother used to do that. And it's like, she'll have fried chicken and she'll have ham, which is why I think to this day, one of my favorite combinations, well, a hot and cold combination, meaning ham with potato salad, or fried chicken and potato salad.
But I think that's all Black folks like that.
Okay, it might be, but where I got it from?
But the one that I never had before that you introduced me to was the pot roast with potato salad. Girl,
that juice from the pot roast mixed in with that.
Right. It's good, right?
That thing. I'm telling you, so when you eat it, right?
Right.
And you get a little bit of the juice from the pot roast.
Right.
And that potato salad, this is what you're going to say.
Got to be more careful. Got to be more careful.
And my mother used to stutter. I told you she stuttered.
Right.
So hers would kind of be like,
got to be more careful. You need to stop, because you know my granddaddy stuttered big time.
I know he do.
I can't even talk to him on the phone without.
I heard it.
Yeah. got to be more careful.
So, yeah. So, demeanor is what we were discussing. My grandmother was no nonsense. You come in the house, you sit down on the couch. If I had to go upstairs, because she lived in a project, if I had to go upstairs, hurry up.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I said it wrong. Hurry up.
That's how my grandmother was too.
And if I was up there too long, she never called me by my name. She never called me.
What'd she call you?
Ronnie Jr. She called me Ronnie Jr. or Tusi.
Now listen, did she call you Ronnie Jr. after Ronnie Jr. came?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. We're gonna touch that in a minute.
I wonder why she called you Ronnie Jr. Is it because she thought you act like your Uncle Ronnie?
I don't know. Well, my mother said that she didn't want me to be named after my dad because she had no love for him whatsoever.
Right.
None. BAG. You know what that is? What?
Big ass gorilla.
A black ass gorilla.
Oh, black ass gorilla.
It's been times where we went over to the house and my grandmother would be mad about I got the wrong jacket on or I'm doing something crazy. And my mother would be trying to justify what she did.
Right.
And then she'll say, you should have never married that nigga. You know what I'm saying? Oh, black ass gorilla. But anyway, so what was I saying?
Ronnie Jr.
I think she stopped calling me that after the real
Ronnie Jr. was born. Right.
And I mean, that was part of my problem that I had with my grandmother. I thought she kind of like preferred to deal with them.
No, I think that as our grandparents got older, they mellowed out because me being a grandparent myself, that's what my children tell me. They tell me that I'm easier on the grandchildren than I was on them.
Right.
And then they say I'm even more easier. Is that a word?
You're easier.
On the great grands than I am on the grands.
Right. I learned that. You see, this happened in the 80s. You know what I mean? And I'm like, wow. Because I came over to the house one time. They were there from Texas.
Right.
And they were just playing and moving around. And I'm going to be honest with you. And I hope they listen to it. It ain't nothing personal or whatever. But me being high school or whatever at the time, I kind of felt a certain way. Right. And I didn't stay there long.
Because you're like, you ain't let me play around like that.
Nothing.
Exactly.
I could do nothing. But they were a little bit loose. But it didn't make sense to me until exactly around 94. When I got 2 kids. Right. Alan Shaw. And we went down there for the summer. And she was a totally different person.
She was doting on them, right?
She would come and get them, take them to the park. Yeah. Buy stuff for them. Yeah. And then bring them back and give them money.
That's how I felt about my grandmother. Because she was hard on me. I told you she had heavy hands. Okay. And she would send me to get that switch.
I'm not going to get no switch. We already talked about that.
Yeah, but I had to go get the switch because it was going to be worse if I did.
I'm not going.
And
I'm not going to get no switch, and I'm not taking off no clothes. I ain't doing that.
Man, whatever.
So
and then
no,
when we used to go visit with the children, Grandma let them do some of everything, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I even got a whooping.
It's tough being that Generation X.
You hear me?
You heard what I said.
Yeah.
Generation X.
But you heard me.
Yeah.
Whoop. My grandma whooped me.
Okay.
As I'm a grown woman with children of my own.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything, but Chevette and Xavier told my grandma that I did something to them or was being mean to them or something. So she whooped me. What the world?
A grown woman.
A grown woman.
And you stood there and took it.
I did because that's my grandma.
You ain't... My grandmother, I love my grandmother, I love my great grandmother. I love my mother, right? But I think all 3 of them knew if we passing out whoopings, you gonna have to work for this one.
No, grandma got that belt and she gave me about 5 licks.
It don't matter what she had. I'm getting in the wind.
I was like, Grandma, stop! What you doing?
Yeah, y'all was playing games.
Yeah, no, I wasn't playing games.
My mother stopped using switches.
Okay.
By the time I got like 13, it turned into just straight up hand-to-hand combat.
Well, it's different for boys.
She's hooking off on me. My mother knocked me out before. We talk about that another time, but that's cool. So you you gave that story about your grandmother, and it kind of speaks to her demeanor, right? I have so many stories about my grandmother that can really describe who she is. The best way to describe her is my mother had a boyfriend. I didn't really like him. I thought he was abusive. But I was warned by my mother, if you ever tell your grandmother what's going on in my house, I'm gonna bust your ass.
Right.
So I never said anything.
Right.
Until one time I couldn't take it and I told my grandmother.
Right.
And she kind of just looked at me like, And I left. I'm thinking to myself, she ain't gonna do nothing.
She ain't do nothing.
Right.
Right.
Or what would we say? She don't even care.
She don't even care about it.
she don't even care about it. But so I went back home and I'm playing in the front room. And I see a cab pull up.
Right.
She didn't do the East Side thing. She did deluxe cab.
Okay.
Anybody listening to this, they'll know the difference. Deluxe East Side. 872-4480. Ain't that crazy? I still remember East Side.
Yeah.
But anyway, she pulls up in a deluxe cab and she gets out. She still has on a dress. She still have on her big hat. Big hats they wear to church. And she walks up. She don't walk in.
Right.
Let me explain. I grew up in a house with my mother and my great-grandmother up until my great-grandmother passed away.
Right.
I never seen my grandmother at that house.
Okay.
Ever. Come inside, nothing.
Right.
This day, she walked up to the step and knocked on the door. And I answered the door, scared, because I don't recognize this face.
Right.
And my mother came, hey, Mom. And she go, what that nigga at? And he came to the door, hey, Miss Penny, because her name is Irene Callan, but they call her, Penny. So, hey, Miss Penny. And she go, come here for a minute. I'm trying to get her talk. Like I tell you, she say gas. I don't know what that means. Instead of gas, it's gas. But she come here for a minute. And he came out on the porch and I realized that she was standing at an angle.
Right.
Right leg back, left leg forward, but at an angle. And I'm like, well, she getting ready to swing on him? That's what I'm thinking. Right. And basically in a nutshell, she said, if you ever put your hands on my daughter, I'll kill you. And I'm like, whoa. I'm looking at her side. Guess what she had?
What she had?
Silver 38.
Oh, she had that thing?
Like, I couldn't wait to go back to her house and find that thing and play with it.
That's why she'd be telling you don't be rambling.
Get out from upstairs. Exactly. That's why I'm telling you this. But that, and he was like, I would never do nothing like that. And I know you wouldn't.
Right.
And she turned around. Oh, the cab never left.
Right. The cab waited on.
She got back in the cab and left. Yeah. Oh, and she said to my mother, don't you bother that boy.
Because she knew.
She knew.
She knew your mom was going to get you for telling.
My mother never said nothing to me.
Right.
Nothing.
She probably scared your mama too.
Oh, I mean, I could say I was scared, but what I saw.
You were shocked.
Yeah, I'm like, do my grandmother got that thing on her side? Do my grandmother got that thing on her side? And her face was ice cold.
Right.
No blinking, just like.
We don't play around with our children.
She did not play around.
Right.
And my great grandmother, her, like I said, was always pleasant. The only time I ever seen her raise her voice was when my mother was, what's your word? When we watch these movies and they're doing the crazy stuff. When they're doing these things where, that can't be done in real life. What's your word?
The liberties.
My mother was taking the liberty of going down the torch.
Right.
And out to the else. So the only time that I heard my great grandmother say anything was that this is your child. This ain't my child.
Right.
But I know my great grandmother loved Uncle Ronnie and my mother to death. So she'd talk.
Yeah.
But she's still gonna watch me.
Right.
And she would be like, well, what time you coming back? And I knew my mother's gone.
She just had to get it out.
Yeah, she just had to say what she say. But my great grandmother was always pleasant. Always pleasant. Now, to end this off.
Okay.
You talked about your grandmother, right? And your grandfather, you said James Umber.
Yes.
And it was a Jimmy Umber, right?
Yes.
Okay, James Umber is your grandfather.
Yes.
And Jimmy is your great.
Is my great grandfather, but his name was James, but they call him Jimmy.
Okay. And there's another James Umber, right?
My uncle.
Uncle
James
Uncle
Jr.
James Jr. Uncle
Yeah.
James Jr. Right? I met him and his son. I met him in
Which he's actually James the third because my
grandfather's the second.
Yeah, and then you got my great grandfather who was the first. So
it gets confusing right there. Let me explain something to you.
Yeah.
The way I was taught, it's senior, junior, then the second.
I thought it was the third.
All my life, I thought it was like that. But then someone said, no, this is how it works. There's Albert, like me, there's Albert Sr. And there's Albert Jr. And then Al in North Carolina is Albert the third, Albert the second. The second after Junior. Meaning the second Junior.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the third though.
No, I thought so too. I was really ready to go down swinging, arguing.
I don't know. It's crazy though because I don't understand. Like
it makes sense though.
Yeah, but I think they got granddaddy listed as senior, and then my uncle Jamie is junior.
Well,
but
it makes sense though.
Yeah,
because I'm running in my mind. So let's say my dad is Albert Sr. He's number one, the originator, where the name comes from. And then I'm born. He names me that. I'm Junior. But then I name my son same name. So Junior is like a placeholder saying you're the senior Junior. And then there's a second and there's a third.
Right, but it's but it's supposed to be like you're the third person with that name.
But that's not how it goes.
It is the third.
Okay. All right. But trust me, I've been wearing a junior title all my life.
Right, and your son has been wearing the third title all his life.
You've never been a junior is what I'm getting at. So when I first looked at it, that's what I said. I said the same thing you said, but then when I sat down with somebody, go, wait a minute, how that goes? They explained it to me.
Well, the person who explained it to you explained it wrong.
We don't have time for me to get on this internet. So if anybody's listening, look it up. Leave a comment and see what it is. And when we find out what it is, I want you to look me dead in my face and say on the next podcast, my bad, dogs.
No, that's what you're going to be saying to me, but I got it.
I doubt it.
Okay.
I've been wearing this junior title. Man.
I understand what you've been wearing.
Oh, my goodness.
But it's the third. It's senior, junior, and the third.
What did you get lesson-wise from your grandparents? Verbally or just through their actions?
Work hard. Take care of your family. Do the right thing. That's what I got.
That's it?
Yeah.
I have so many things. But the day that my great-grandmother died, that one kind of stuck with me. She was seeing everybody one at a time, and she basically waited and told my mother to send me into the emergency room. And she reached a hand from under the covers, and she told me, "Don't be scared.
Right?
Don't be scared." Then she said, "You got to take care of your mother. You got to grow up." But she used to always get on me about being sort of in the dream world a lot.
Well, you said she listened to you though.
Yeah, but she's always talked to me about, kind of disappearing in a moment. I had a habit of sitting there. You could be having a whole conversation with me. I'm there physically, but I'm somewhere else. She would pick up on that.
Right.
But she told me, you got to grow up. But the main thing she talked about, paraphrasing, closed mouth don't get fed. Right. You got to speak up.
Speak up.
You're too quiet. You got to speak up. I remember that. At every opportunity that I've ever had, or should I say every opportunity that I've ever lost, it's because I didn't represent myself properly.
Right.
Whether it be a job or in a creative field or whatever the case may be, I did not represent myself properly.
Right.
I didn't speak up for myself.
Right.
She told me that, and I remember that.
Right.
My grandmother never really said much, but the fact that I would have my school school clothes made at Lilienthal's downtown Selma, Broad Street.
Mm-hmm.
And I would get my shoes from Myers Shoes in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
I just would have to go and pick them up.
Right.
She didn't talk much, but she made it happen.
Right. Her actions.
Right. Because I used to complain to my mother and say, oh, I don't like my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
I really said that.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, I guess my mother got tired of hearing it. She took a swing at me, but if I remember correctly, I kind of ducked it. But she told me, you don't understand. Your grandmother wouldn't let a fly land on you.
Mm-hmm.
That stuck with me.
Right.
What does that mean? Right?
Nothing touch you.
Nothing. She wouldn't let nothing
Not
happen.
even a fly.
She might cuss me out.
Right. But nobody else.
But you ain't going to do it.
Exactly.
Right. So I got that from her. She retired from A&M Cleaners down on, is that Alabama Avenue, Water Avenue, downtown. Mm-hmm. Actually, it's across the street from where Selma Times Journal used to be.
Right. That's Water.
Water?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and then she worked for the Fords, rich white people down there, and retired again. Mm-hmm. And she was always neat, together. I'd never seen her out of pocket, hair, clothes.
Right.
Because she was just squared away, like stern, about her business. Ain't no hanging out, nothing.
With her fur coats.
She had those.
Yeah.
She had those. Before we get out of here, you just reminded me of something. So, you remember I told you I used to dream and be acting weird, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I would always go in, and this is for the cousins if they still listening. I would always go in Uncle Ronnie's room and mess around with his jackets or college books he had left behind.
Right.
And try to act like I was in a college class. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. So one time I said, I'm going to go to this other city and I'm going to get dressed up. Mm-hmm. I know it sounds crazy. But it was literally walking from Uncle Ronnie's room to Grandma Penny's room. Mm-hmm. And I go in there, and I go in the closet, and I sit in between the clothes. Mm-hmm. Now, you can see me, but I'll try my best to describe it. So I reach my hand up to try to put the clothes around me and cushion myself. And I actually felt a rat head.
Yeah, they used to keep the heads on the things.
And I almost tore that fucking...
That was...
I almost tore that...
Got to be more careful.
Got to be more careful. I almost tore that closet apart.
That was a stole.
Whatever it was.
That's the ones that you wear it around your shoulders.
I felt the nose, the snout, and the eyes. I'm like, what in the devil's... And I jumped out of that closet.
That's what you get for rambling.
That's what you get for rambling. That's what you get for rambling. And I opened that closet and I looked and I saw she had it's like around the neck of the coat, and it's hanging down. Yeah. It is actual. I don't see people wearing that anymore.
Nah, they don't do that no more. But it was big. Why? Because it was very popular.
Because Peter,
Peter get them.
Yeah, but it was there and I was like, oh my God. I thought she put a rat or a squirrel on her coat.
Boy, stop.
But she always had her stuff together. Right. Kept it in the A&M Cleaners plastic. Yeah. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. But on that note, that was my grandmother. I wish I could talk to him now with my mindset. Yeah. But I can't. My grandmother died in 94, right after she saw Alan Rashaw. Okay. My great-grandmother died in 75. Mm-hmm. And my grandfather on my dad died in 78, I think. Okay. And I'm not leaving him out as for a story. I don't know him. Right. I knew him physically, but I don't know him. Right. So your grandmother passed away. My grandmother passed away in 2012. Right. And then my great-grandmother, her mother, passed away I want to say it was 1970 something. Okay. I was about 10. So 1978. So 10 or 11, 1978, 79. And then my granddaddy, Dina, he passed away before that. So he had to be in 1975. Okay. And then Grandma Mary Lou, like I said before, she passed away in 1972. Right.
And then granddaddy, Jimmy Umber,
Jimmy.
he passed away in 1978.
1978.
And then my grandfather, he's still kicking.
Okay.
95 years old.
95 years old. And before we get out of here, I know he's having some problems with his health right now.
Yeah.
And I say to you, you know, at a certain point, Mr. Umber is 94, 95 years old.
95.
95 years old. Wow.
Yeah.
What a blessing. I was looking at something with Denzel and he said to the guys, my mother passed away. He said she was 80.
I thought he said she was 90 something.
90, whatever he said she was. But the point is, they said, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. He go, no, I had her for 80, 90 something years.
Yeah.
It ain't like that. Same thing I'm telling you.
Right.
Mr. Umber's been there.
54 years.
54 years. 54 years.
Yeah.
Right? You've known him from day one. Man, we're not immortal.
Came home to his house.
And sometimes we have to rest.
Right.
We've been running this thing on this battery, for me and you, for 54 years. Eventually, either we're going to be able to recharge that battery or
right.
It is what it is.
Yep.
But anyway, great show. Grandparents.
Grand memories.
Grand memories.
Yep.
This one ran about an hour.
Okay.
But I think it ran an hour because we were just flowing.
Right, right.
You know, the next podcast, we're going to have a special guest.
Okay. Special guest.
Who that special guest is?
Darrell.
Is he here?
Thanos.
Thanos is here.
Yes.
Thanos is here.
Yes.
He was sleepy today. But Thanos is here.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Let's get on out of here then.
All right. Let's go. It's Al and Yolanda. It's got to be more careful.